In the realm of college football, the jersey numbers mean so much. Today, we're going to talk about the jersey number fives, the best players in college football history. And by the end, I'm going to name a top five college players that wore that jersey number five in history and see if you agree with me. We're going to start off here by talking about some of the great players of college football and some of these players that maybe I'm sure you're going to remember, but maybe you didn't realize they wore the number five. And as we go down through maybe some players that are not yet in the College Football Hall of Fame, but had some brilliant careers. First one we're going to talk about is Pat White from West Virginia. He was a pioneer of the spread option offense, and White became the first quarterback in college football history to start and win four consecutive bowl games. His incredible rushing ability transformed West Virginia into a national powerhouse, and he had quite an arm too. But his dual threat ability really helped put the Mountaineers on the map and really made people remember his great player, Pat White, wore that number five. Christian McCaffrey is another one. We know him now as a San Francisco 49ers great number back wearing 23, but in his college days at Stanford, he wore jersey 5. Now, he shattered Barry Sanders' single season all-purpose yards record in 2015, proving that a running back could be just as dangerous a receiver and a return specialist. His versatility at Stanford forced the reevaluation of how the Heisman caliber players are measured across multiple phases of the game. He did not win a Heisman, but he probably could have because he was pretty good at that year too. Now, Manti Te'o of Notre Dame is another player, which we're going to talk about a few Notre Dame players who were the number five. But Te'o was an emotional middle linebacker for the team that played in the national championship game against Alabama. Didn't have too much success against Alabama, but Manti Te'o, man, what a great season he had. 2012's undefeated regular season, becoming one of the most decorated defensive players, and it's by sweeping nearly every major award. He remains a symbol of the linebacker as a superstar, finishing as a rare Heisman Trophy runner-up from the defensive side of the ball in a linebacker position. You don't see that very often. And how about Penn State's Larry Johnson? Johnson delivered one of the most dominant single seasons in college football history in 2002, becoming only the ninth player to rush for over 2,000 yards in a single season. And his explosive senior year earned him the Maxwell and Doak Walker Awards, cementing his legacy as one of the greatest premier power backs in Big Ten history. And at linebacker U with some great running backs of Penn State, Larry Johnson is right up there with most of them. Now, we had a handful of Heisman winners in this. We've talked about Notre Dame. Well, how about Paul Hornung, who was known as a Golden Boy? And Hornung holds the unique distinction of being the only player to win the Heisman Trophy playing for a losing team. The Notre Dame was 2-8 in 1956, the year he took home the brass from the downtown athletic club. And he was a versatile triple threat who led his team in passing, rushing, scoring, and kickoff returns. Most valuable player all the way around, and Heisman worthy Paul Hornung, who went on to some great things in the NFL with the Green Bay Packers and Vince Lombardi. Reggie Bush is another player who won the Heisman. Had it taken away, but he did win the Heisman. One of the most electric playmakers in history, Bush was a centerpiece of the mid-2000s USC dynasty, combining his elite speed, agility, and redefined all-purpose back. His 2005 season remains a legendary for his highlight reel runs and role in keeping USC as the pinnacle of sport and during the BCS era. Jaden Daniels, the great Washington Commanders quarterback now in the NFL. But he also in college had a great run at LSU and Arizona State, a dual threat sensation. Jaden Daniels became the first player in FBS history to pass for 12,000 yards and rush for 3,000 yards in a career. His 2023 Heisman Trophy winning season at LSU was statistically historic as he led the nation in total offense and set a record for the highest passer rating in a single season. Great stuff there. He was a great athlete. Jameis Winston, Florida State. Jameis has made history in 2013 as the youngest player ever to win the Heisman Trophy while leading Florida State to an undefeated season and the BCS National Championship. During his 2 years as a starter, he lost only one game and restored the Seminoles as a position of national dominance through his elite arm, talent, and leadership on the field. Now, those are so the Heisman Trophy winners, but we also have some, and these guys will probably be College Football Hall of Famers. Paul Hornung already is. But we have some College Football Hall of Fame legends that wore jersey number 5. Kevin Butler, Georgia, legendary kicker for the Bulldogs. Butler was the first person at his position inducted in the College Football Hall of Fame. He famously kicked a 60-yard field goal to beat Clemson in 1984 and finished his career as the SEC's all-time leading scorer. Michael Crabtree of Texas Tech. You know him as a Dallas Cowboy. Well, he was a two-time winner of the Fred Biletnikoff Award. Crabtree is perhaps the greatest freshman in history, catching 134 passes, 1,962 yards, and 22 touchdowns. He's the best remembered for his iconic last-second touchdown catch to upset number 1 Texas in 2008. Kenny Easley of UCLA, a rare three-time consensus All-American. Easley was a defensive powerhouse who finished his career with a school record 19 picks. His jersey was retired by UCLA, and he is widely considered one of the greatest safeties to ever play the college game. Terry Hanratty, you might know him as a quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but he was a quarterback of Notre Dame once upon a time, a consensus All-American quarterback. Hanratty led the Fighting Irish to the national championship in 1966. He combined with wide receiver Jim Seymour to form one of the most prolific passing duels of that era, finishing in the top 10 of the Heisman voting 3 different times. Of course, we talked about the electric Paul Hornung. He's in there. How about one of the 4 horsemen of Notre Dame? Elmer Layden wore jersey number 5. He gained an immortality as a fullback of that 4 horseman squad during the 1924 season, coached by Newt Rockne, and he capped his college career by scoring 3 touchdowns in the 1925 Rose Bowl, leading the Irish to the national title against another great back over at Stanford, who did not wear number 5, by the way. George Savitsky of Pennsylvania, who was a dominant offensive tackle. Back then, tackles could wear jersey number 5. Savitsky is the only player in history of college football to be named a first-team All-American in 4 consecutive years, 1944 through 47. He was a cornerstone of the Penn Quakers during their era as a national powerhouse. Murray Shelton of Cornell, an end for Cornell from the mid-1910s. Shelton was a key figure on the undefeated 1915 national championship team. He was a versatile athlete and consensus All-American who helped the Big Red be a dominant force in early college football. And then LaDainian Tomlinson of TCU, wearing that purple number 5. Before his NFL stardom, Tomlinson led the NCAA in rushing for 2 consecutive years, including a 2,158-yard season in 2000. He once led the NCAA's single-game rushing record with 406 yards against UTEP, and effectively putting TCU back in a national spotlight as a player and as a great team. Now, so there we have it. You have some great players outside the College Football Hall of Fame, players that won the Heisman, players that are in the College Football Hall of Fame. That takes us down to making some choices. We've had some great players throughout the years, many of whom we did not have a chance to talk about in this small segment that we have. If you have your favorite number 5, why don't you let us know here at pigskindispatch@gmail.com. And now let's get to that top 5 greatest players in college football history that wore jersey number 5. Number 5, I'm going to give it to a Heisman winner, and that's Jameis Winston. We told you about his arm. We told you about winning the Heisman. Great running ability, too. He led leadership, took the Seminoles all the way to the national championship. He was a great player then. He's number 5 on our list. He is surpassed by the number 4 player, Christian McCaffrey, who he lights it up in the NFL. Well, he definitely did that at Stanford. That's why he was so highly touted when the Carolina Panthers drafted him, and early in his career. And McCaffrey was all he is in the NFL and more. Such a versatile back. Number 4 on our list. The Golden Boy, Paul Hornung, takes our number 3 spot. He was such an important piece of that Notre Dame team, even though they didn't have a very good season his senior year, but turned it on and really did some amazing things with little talent surrounding him. Really to win that Heisman Trophy and win the accolades and become highly picked, sought after by Vince Lombardi in the pros. LaDainian Tomlinson, we just talked about how many yards he had in that 2000 season and how important he was to TCU. He comes in as our number 2, and I guess you could almost say 1A, but another back just slightly overshadows him, and that's Reggie Bush, who comes as our number 1, player in college football history wore jersey number 5. Bush, with those amazing years at USC, Heisman Trophy winner, possibly could have won it 2 years in a row, been the only other person, besides a gentleman at Ohio State earlier. Just some great things that happened there. Our top 5: Reggie Bush, LaDainian Tomlinson, Paul Hornung, Christian McCaffrey, and Jameis Winston. What do you think about our top 5? What do you think about our selections talking about these greatest players at number 5? Let us know, pigskindispatch@gmail.com. Until next time, everybody, have a great gridiron day. That's all the football history we have today, folks. Join us back tomorrow for more of your football history. We invite you to check out our website, pigskindispatch.com, not only to see the daily football history, but to experience positive football with our many articles on the good people of the game, as well as our own football comic strip, Cleat Marks Comics. Pigskindispatch.com is also on social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget the Pigskin Dispatch YouTube channel to get all of your positive football news and history. Special thanks to the talents of Mike and Gene Monroe, as well as Jason Neff for letting us use their music during our podcast.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.